hopefully we'll have an opportunity to go through all of the sessions and to break them out into individual topics. I think that has some value for general use as well. We're session 5, three cartoons, because you were so generous in allowing some time to go between our last session. I put in 3 cartoons here. Here are 2 people walking in New York City, it looks like, or in the city, and one of the people says, "I'm concerned that my online therapist is a chat bot." And the other woman says, "She's no good." And the first woman says, "No, she's perfect." So there's one perspective on AI. Here's another perspective on AI this is from some time ago when it first started becoming available, is it deals with taking a corpus of information, all the hard-won knowledge and wisdom of humanity, now available in a squeezable page. So you can fit all of the Library of Congress into a tube, and what you just can squeeze out the little bit that you need almost instantaneously. And this one I thought doesn't have it totally to do with AI, but this is what we're moving towards maybe as a society, is push the lady standing on the street to cross, and push the button for the illusion of control. So you want the illusion that we are kind of in charge, but really, who knows? All right. What I wanted to make you all aware of is the 2 books that I use. Mostly before our sessions, that developed my way of thinking. And these were the 2 books. The Worlds I See, which is Dr. Fei-Fei Li, who is an example of the American success story, somebody that has moved from China as a youth and that is designed the information that we're discussing. She's one of the prime movers. And then the other one is Ethan Malik, who's at the Wharton School. He's a professor at the Wharton School. And it's co-intelligence. And Dr. Lee, the world that I see, she talks about AI must assist in managing the human condition. The human condition that she experienced was quite difficult, and she wanted to make AI so that it eased the pain of the human condition. The one example that I drew out of this is after she perfected this thing called ImageNet, which is the AI that can recognize a cat from a picture and things of that sort. She worked with the hospital to try to determine the ambient ignorance that's in a hospital. Those of you who are in medicine realize that the errors that occur in medicine are mostly instances of inattention. So Dr. Lee and a hospital worked together to try to put AI in a hospital environment. And anytime something that should occur but didn't, the AI would bring up, hey, you got to wash your hands after working with this patient. Or you didn't put the medicine back in the refrigeration unit. Just very simple ambient attention was, I think, the phrase that she came up. Ambient attention that the AI has to work with. And it's very conflicting information. Originally, the nursing staff assumed that the AI was going to be monitoring the people, and they did not want it in their environment because they were afraid it was going to become the Uber boss. But the Dr. Lee worked with the staff to convince them, no, this ambient AI is there to point out to you when something's not being done. That this room has not been sanitized, so you shouldn't put someone in it until it is. Things of that sort that would occur when the orderly was pushing someone down the hall in the emergency room. Things of that sort. And they showed this ambient attention did reduce the number of medical errors. Co-intelligence, by its title, the main point is AI works best when it works as a colleague with a professional. The main example being with radiologists. AI working with a radiologist reduces the number of false positives or false negatives when reading MRIs or X-rays. If you have an AI with a human being, the performance increases dramatically. And we're going to see that a little bit today when we deal with the programming. Again, AI work and humans working together, individualization of education. Dr. Malik talked about that. Dr. Lee, Fei-Fei Lee, she was the person that discovered that there is a threshold, an inflection point in the size of the corpus of material. So we talked about the increase in the speed of the processors, the increase in the complexity of the software, the increase in the amount of memory that's available to people, the increase in the speed of the internet, the communications increase, that there is an inflection point, that these can increase without any notable effect, but then it reaches a point in the improvement process where it reaches a threshold where, in the case of AI, it seems like intelligence became available, magically became available at a specific point in the increase in those items. So that was one of Dr. Lee's discoveries with the vision. She worked with vision capabilities. Think of the driving autonomous vehicles. This is a break. One of the questions, I forgot to do that. I'll do that at my break. One of the items that got my attention, I believe this is from The Economist, the share of adults in selected countries that say they trust AI. I was very much drawn by the dramatic difference in these. So in the United States, from the bottom there, only 32% of adults say that they trust AI. In Germany, it's even less. But you go up to India and China, there's a very dramatic number of people who say, yes, they do trust AI. What I've read about India is they're trying to introduce AIs to allow translation between the 100 languages, 100 official languages in India. That the billion, isn't India now the largest country, 1.4 billion people? You think about China, is they have significant technology now in the Alipay, A-L-I, Alipay, and what's their? They have a WhatsApp, WeChat. WeChat is the app that is used throughout society. You take a taxi, you pay with WeChat. You buy at the market, you pay with WeChat. You get a cup of coffee, you pay with WeChat. You want to call an Uber type vehicle, WeChat. It's all done in WeChat. So they have a very dramatic presence of technology in China and the language issue in India, where AI is becoming the translator. Okay. I'm just going to review a couple things to make sure that we've covered all of these topics correctly. In the way back 2 years, that's way back now in AI time frame, it was Chat GPT, and everybody had trouble saying generative pre-trained transformer. And I think it's going to become general purpose tool. So it's now, what are these AIs becoming? They're becoming general purpose tools. There was retrieval augmented generation that has become very prominent element in Chat GPT. There's a picture of a globe in Chat GPT in the prompt box that does go out, it retrieves information, and then it synthesizes a response from what it retrieves, what it gets, RAG, artificial general intelligence. The assumption is that in this, that the AI is smarter than experts in all subjects. That's what I believe they're talking about here. In most instances, the AI can be smarter than a human in some subjects. And but not all subjects. Multimedia language model, we're going to look at Meta AI today, where they can do pictures, they can do responses. I don't think it can make sounds yet, but it can also write code. I'm going to write some computer code hopefully today. So multimedia language models is what they are all doing. And remember these vocabulary words we've gone through: authentication, know your customer, KYC, know your customer. We've looked at prompts throughout inference. Again, I tried to emphasize all of these AI responses are just statistical assumptions or statistical inferences as to what the best answer is. The corpus is the training materials used, the back propagation. This is what won the Nobel Prize in physics, I think, this year, is how, in effect, AIs learn from themselves. And then what tokenization is, how the preparation of the corpus turns text into just numbers, and then that's what's analyzed is the numbers. Context, How can the AI remember our conversations, the conversations that you have with an AI? How does it remember what you talked about before? And they say that's taking off. Values alignment. I used in the initial trainings that we had a year ago, the Sorcerer's Apprentice, Mickey Mouse and the Sorcerer's Apprentice for values alignment. What is the AI aligned to do? What is the Amazon.com AI aligned to do? It's aligned to get you to buy something. It's not aligned to get you the right product. Frontier models are the ones that are doing the scary stuff. Compute, that is the actual computing power that's necessary. I did mention to you that X, or Elon Musk, has opened his large bunker of computers in Memphis, Tennessee, where he's got a guarantee of inexpensive electricity, largest computing environment in the world. And what is he putting in this computing environment? IRS information, government employee information, government payment information, all of the stuff that the Doge people are getting from the government databases. He's using it. The analysis, at least, is occurring in his factory in Memphis, Tennessee. Remember, we showed some text that we get from AIs. If you copy and paste, it looks funny. And that is called Markdown, or if you see a file that ends in MD, it's a Markdown. That is just some old-time mainframe tag that it puts around text that will be, what's the header text, the headline text? What is to be bolded text? So it puts that information in. It does not do that, but you have to do that as you put it into Word or things of that sort. And then the agentic, this is starting to occur. I believe you're going to have to pay for it. That's where you can say to ChatGPT or to Copilot from Microsoft, buy me a ticket to Paris on the week of April and make sure that I get an inexpensive fare. It will go out and do it. That is agentic. So that has multiple steps in it that the AI can go from looking at your calendar to looking at flights, Google Flights, and it knows your credit card and can buy the ticket. It can do all of those things. Now it can only do one. The first presentation that we did talked about how to structure a prompt for the most effective response or the most effective inference from the AI. So the way that I talked about structuring the prompt is to first tell the AI to assume a role, then tell it what you expect, and then tell it the format that you want the response to be in. So act as a financial advisor, provide a monthly budget plan in 5 bullet points. It can get a little lengthy in these responses, but if you are doing something that takes a value, that requires a value of some sort, it's going to be worth your while. I talked about theory of mind that I want to encourage all of you to think about. Maureen, I think I saw there was a question.
Yes, there is. Do you have reference to the Memphis, Tennessee, and that for sure Musk is moving data to that facility?
No, I don't have evidence that that's occurring, but my assumption is based upon their comments. They said that they are using AI to analyze the performance of the government. They are using AI. There's been the listing of the expenditures. What are condoms for Gaza? It's a lie, they figure out. But the items that they have shown that seem inappropriate are found by AI. So think of all of the different projects that the US government is spending money on. Assume a year's worth of expenditures. I think that's $5 or $6 trillion that the government spends. So they have submitted that to something to sort it all out, to find things that seem odd. I can assume a human is not doing that. That's too much information for a human. The dynamic within the expenditure of $6 trillion is too great for a human to conceive of it. There is a dynamic in things of that size that humans cannot conceive of. So they are having an AI do it. My assumption is Elon has this empty bunker, this empty data center that could be what it's used for. So there's an assumption on my part. Somebody I saw just raised their hand.
I guess that must have been me. In relation to Elon's project in Tennessee, considering all the things that the government does, there must be a zillion factors that you would have to use to analyze efficiency. And are we saying that that the AI can be trained in all of those things to be able to recognize, say, that $50 billion worth of condoms is not appropriate for sending overseas?
The AI can do it. The complexity is within the scope of AI. Something you remember that what Elon is putting together in Tennessee and what OpenAI has up in the Dalles, up in northern Oregon, or that is where's the Apple, I believe, has something in North Carolina. Imagine in the Bay Area that there's bunker upon bunker of these huge computer organizations. The values alignment question is who is determining what's efficient?
Yeah.
And that is the big question. Somebody with the current administration is doing that. Somebody that knows the magic of tuning, they'll tune the AI, the grok that Elon is making, to spit out this stuff based upon some factor. And what is efficient to Elon may be life-saving to me. That's the big question. That is the hugest question of all in my book. And that was what worried me when all of the companies, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Chat GPT, OpenAI, all of those people were on the dais when the current administration was sworn in. So they are using the AIs for these kind of activities. That's me saying that, but that I feel very comfortable in saying.
Well, could one system be trained to evaluate, say, the Department of Defense, or one segment of the Department of Defense? It's not too big to fit into the parameters of one company?
My assumption is what Elon has put together is large enough. It is the largest agglomeration of computers built into in effect, a supercomputer. So what they do is take, let's say, 50,000 computers like you've got on your desk. They put them in one facility, and then the NVIDIA systems that are $50,000 a piece. My understanding is there's 100,000 of those put in this bunker data warehouse in Tennessee. And then they use, if I'm correct, it's called R, the language that they use to unite all of these computers into one functioning computer system is called R, the letter R.
Mm-hmm.
And then that system is big enough to do these kind of things. Yes.
Wow.
What's the, it's pretty frightening. In whose hands is the work being done? Who's doing the work? Who's determining the alignment of the values? That's the
Jim,
big
I think
question.
you should take a look at some of the comments from Elena in the chat. Can you see them?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
Well, let me just raise my hand and ask.
Okay, go ahead,
Okay,
Elena.
so one of the things that I'm trying to struggle with is when he gets into the Social Security Administration database, that database, it isn't a database, it's written in COBOL. So data
Yes.
is not stored like it would be on an Oracle database. So but what you just said is that there's another language that they can use to run across, and the question Mike I have, would it be able to run COBOL? Or is it something that you have to have that data in a form, either HTML or in an Oracle database or a SQL database of some kind, which you could draw from to run your AI on?
It's the second one, what you're talking about. Remember, the programming is done in this, the ancient language, one of the first ones.
Well, it's still a pretty
COBOL.
effective language.
It's effective, yeah. But remember that the language just takes the data. So it takes my social security number and says, here, this person gets $1,000 this month. They spit it out, and then they write that data to a data file.
But my observation is that those COBOL systems do not have their data in a repository like a database. It's in a different structure of files, and a lot of it is embedded in ASCII code. I mean, in what's the zeros and ones?
Yeah, in binary code. Yeah,
In binary
yes,
code.
yes.
So you can't go into it like you would with, like you and I are familiar with a database. You can't go into it and write code and bring out the stuff that's in the database. You've got to write code to bring stuff out of a COBOL storage system, which is different. That was my question.
That's a good question. My assumption is yes, they know how to do it, and hopefully
and that,
by the end of the day, you will see how the AI can write the translation code from COBOL. What's that code? Exchange, retrieve, exchange, and load, EDL, exchange data load, where it takes it from one format, transforms it, and puts it into another format. That
okay. So they could run that across. Okay, that
yeah.
tells me how they can get it out of there. And you're saying they would take it out of there and move it to his Memphis repository. So they wouldn't be trying to run that AI on the database that's in Washington, D.C. or in this SSI database. They would extract it and use it elsewhere.
Yes.
Now, is that your assumption, or have you read anybody else saying that?
No, it is an assumption on my part.
Okay, so we're doing okay, I got it. Next, we're going to find somebody who might be close enough to it to find out.
There is the statements that they say, what was it? There's millions of people who have died getting Social Security, or there's millions of people over 100 years old getting AI.
Right, but we found out that over 100 years old on AI was because that's how COBOL writes its error messages. If you've got no birth year, you put a fake number out there, and because of its COBOL, all they could use was numbers and numbers that they could do in a zeros and ones format. So you don't have the kind of sophistication you have with later versions of coding. But it's still they've had to move. You had to write digital code.
Oh, we're going to see, and I'm going to guess, and we can try it. We'll use something to try that when we get there. See if I can write some code.
All right, let's do it.
COBOL.
Okay, you got it. All right, I'll stop bugging us on this, and we can keep going. Okay,
theory of mind. Now, this is one of my approaches to AI. We as humans learn at about age 4 or 5, know that other human beings are different than us, that they can think about something that I'm not thinking about. So what I try to do is, based upon how the AI is responding to me, what is its state of mind? What is the state of mind of the AI? Now, that's just me doing that. The question that I asked about the mature learner, there was a question in there that said, do you prefer to read fiction or do you prefer to read nonfiction? I prefer to read fiction. I live in my head the characters that I'm reading about. That is one of the features of me. I imagine Carol Kennicott in the Main Street by Sinclair Lewis that I'm reading. I see the life that she's living in my mind based upon reading the book. That's just me. I do that same thing with AI. I try to assume a character, basically, from the responses of the AI. I am hopefully strong enough mentally to realize that a character in a fiction novel is not real. And in the same sense, I am mentally mature enough to realize that the AI is not a real human being. Remember back, we did the conversations with the AI and it was responsive. Kind of frightening. kind of frightening. Let's just go on here. Again, we dealt with workflow. I thought about this quite a bit in the last 2 weeks. Do you have a pressing need, a work-related need? Now, most of us aren't working now, but we have some needs. In the process of solving those needs, is there a place that AI can have a role? I think yes. In my life, there certainly is. Here's creating a workflow. As I'm sitting here, imagine somebody, uh, uh, we had the example in the news article that I sent out way back where these people are assuming that they have a boyfriend or a girlfriend that is an AI. That's a little strange to me, but here's software. We're going to cover some of that today. Now, for me, one of the main discoveries that I came across in this session, in this version of our Ollie at SOU, was the way that each of these companies, Google, Microsoft, Apple, and OpenAI, are integrating their software packages with AI. Now, remember Apple Intelligence. We showed how OpenAI integrates into the email that it has, into the word processor that Apple has. And there was a very, very appropriate question somebody came up with in the relationship between Apple and OpenAI. Remember, I said Apple develops the front end, the user interface, the user experience. OpenAI develops the response or the inference. The question somebody asked, what happens when this partnership falls apart? What's going to happen? Well, where is one of the biggest client bases for Apple Computer Company? They happen to be the luxury item that people on the subways and all in the restaurants hold up their phone, and everybody knows that these people are well to do. What country is that? Where does everybody want to go to make the next $1 trillion? They want to go to China. And guess what? China does not allow OpenAI in integration. So Apple is integrating their system, probably looking exactly the same. Apple is integrating with Alibaba's software. It's called Qwen, Qwen is what Alibaba has for their AI. And I bet you it looks the same. But if you ask Qwen, who was the tank man on in 1989 in Tiananmen Square? Remember that Tiananmen Square, you cannot ask that question in China. If you do, the Chinese government will shut you down. And Apple, to make their next $10 billion, $100 billion, is spending the money to integrate with Qwen, Qwen. And today, we're going to look at Microsoft. That's the end of that one. Let's just very quickly, let me see if I can find it here. Here it is, right here. Let me bring this. This is just, I'm going to go through this very quickly. and then I'll do a couple examples. So Copilot, remember Copilot is the AI with Microsoft. In effect, Microsoft bought it from AI and then is doing its own thing now. So this, oh, how did it was slide 18? I got a little confused here. I'm terribly sorry. Oh, I'm my bad. Oh, my bad. I'm sorry here. I'll have to excuse me. I have to go up to the very top. The very top. I should have known that. I should have. Remember, Microsoft used to be called Office. Now it's changed its name to 365. And maybe if you pay for Office, Maureen and I, for years, have paid $99 a year for Office software, the entire Office suite of software. And I feel good about that because in the way back, I used to use software without paying for it. And I feel I'm making up for things now. But this is popping up. Last week, this popped up on my computer. New Copilot is included in your Microsoft 365 plan. Boom. This is the thing that they're charging now. It seems like $20 a month is going to be the cost they decide upon. Claude, $20 a month. OpenAI, ChatGPT, $20 a month is their plan. Perplexity, which we'll look at a little bit today, $20 a month. So this is the account screen for Microsoft. If you go to account.microsoft.com and log in, this is the accounts page. They are giving me 60 credits a month to use Copilot. Why are they? Remember, every prompt that I give, every inference that Microsoft Copilot makes, they have to compute the response. And I think it's like a tenth of a penny per response that it costs. Imagine how many people are using this at one time at Microsoft. It's millions, tens of millions of people at this moment are doing stuff with their AI. Here it is in Word. This is what it will start to look at. Can you see this okay right up at the top?
Yeah, it's pretty small.
I don't think I can make it any larger. Oh, there we go. A little bit bigger.
Yes.
There's a little bit larger. It might be too big, but it has this text will show up here, and we'll run this. That you can either click on the icon or press an apple. Open Apple. Oh, it's a little different. Open Apple, whatever that backslash is, to bring Copilot up. Let's see if I can, let me make it smaller again. And then once I do that, it brings up the prompt box. Remember, this looks very similar to everything that we've seen so far. It brings up the prompt entry box where you put in the properly constructed prompt that you spent a little time developing. Please compose a risk analysis and mitigation strategy for a mature learner program. In artificial intelligence, please come up with 5 to 7 risks and their steps for mitigation. Please highlight appropriate text in this composition. You can, how big is the context? 2,000 characters is what you can use. Click generate, it puts things together, and then it puts it into Word. You can see behind here, it puts it into Word, it's highlighted, and notice that it is using a bit of markdown in the background. Notice the 2 stars there, the bullet points, that's mildly markdown. Then it gives you an option. You can make it more formal, you can make it less formal, you can do a back propagation, you can say, hey, this is pretty good. And that will make it easier for the AI to meet your expectations. Here's the response, and you can edit it and do it again, or you can throw it away. Too many things you can do at once on this screen based upon the icon. Remember, the young people know what these icons mean. We more mature learners have to guess. Oh, yeah, what did that mean? Maureen and I, prior to this, spent about 10 minutes trying to figure out what it means. So I think I say keep it, and it integrates into the word. Here's an existing one. I hit the icon and it put it up there. It helps me write it. Oh, here's the one. I should have removed those. Here's the risk analysis, puts 2 together. Oh, my bad. So here's what it looks like in Word as a finished product. Again, you'd have to read it. You have to do the text formatting thing. That was one of the problems I had at work, is people wanted things in final format and then they would edit it. And that's very difficult to do. I'd give them the text as I generate it and say, hey, edit this text before I lay it out. Once you put the formatting in, it becomes much more difficult to edit. But this is how it looks in Word. Next, in Outlook, the email package of Microsoft 365, or if you've been around for more than a year, Microsoft Office. Here's what it looks like. I actually brought up Office for a Mac, or excuse me, Outlook for Mac. Notice it's got the icon right there. And then I can do a key combination to bring it up. Here's the prompt. You can give these kind of talks. Here's again what you can do. I said, please write a letter to Brother John, telling him that he has Microsoft Office. With this $99, now I think it's going to go to $129 a year. You get 5 versions of Office that you can distribute to your family. And I gave it to my brother. I'm reminding him, please write it. Once it writes it, you can do all these things with it. Here's what the message looks like. Dear Brother John, warmest regards. See, little does it know my relationship with my brother. But he's got all this now, and I could send it to him. Now, this was the one I had trouble with. In PowerPoint, notice in the upper left-hand corner, right up there, there is the initial prompt to begin the development of a presentation. Here's how it structures it. I had difficulty understanding how to make this work because I do all of these PowerPoint slides by hand. Write a PowerPoint presentation about beautiful mathematical shapes floating against a white background. It begins to work on it here. Let's see if I can make it bigger. Nope. It does not get bigger. It will give me the outline of the presentation. I can edit the presentation. I can say, yes, this is good. No, this is not. Then I go click generate slides based upon this outline. There it goes. It generates the slides. Here's what it looks. It does a preview of it, and then it puts the slides together. And then it gives you a response here. You want to keep this. There's what the slides end up looking like. This one happens to be the mathematical formulas of the Mandelbrot set. Using this kind of item here. You can do a whole bunch of other questions about it. Here's all of your slides that it has magically created for your presentation. I'm not sure what the second part, I'm not sure what this is. I'll have to look much more closely at this to see if it can edit my slides. Here's the presentation of this. The conclusions are, wow, it's just. Maureen, are you seeing the Outlook screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. I wonder what that diamond means. Oh. 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 Oh, I just got an email
What
message about.
browser are you using? Because I have on my browser, when I put my cursor over icons, it'll come up with a little tag and tell me what it is. But I'm using Firefox, and it looks like
Now this is Chrome. This
you're
is
using
Google
Chrome.
Chrome.
In
Now,
your
if I
settings, is there a place where it has a thing that says show the text for the icons?
I would assume it does. I don't know that as a fact.
But you haven't looked it up to sit because then you could put your finger on stuff and not have to
He could
push
do
the
that
button.
later. He could do that later.
He could do that later, but then he wouldn't have to push the button to find out what it does.
Oh yeah, to see it's showing. I don't know if it's showing up on your screen, but you can
Oh, it
see
does.
manage premium
Okay.
or copy. It takes a pause.
Yeah, and then it shows it. Okay, it does show it.
Yeah, then OneNote feed. They're making this stuff so complex. It becomes difficult for me. You know, I've lived this stuff since the 1970s. I'm having difficulty. Just look up here at the top. Look at just in this small little area here, all of the things that you can do. imagine that I'm sitting in an office in Greenbelt, Maryland, which is kind of new. Hey Siri, stop. We're going to start up now. All of these things right here are meaningful. This would start. What's the meeting thing that Microsoft used to have?
I remember having this discussion at Oracle in about 94 when we started to grow to screens rather than line typing.
Yes.
And the idea that, oh, everything's going to be with icons. I remember having that very discussion that said, how are you going to get a concept so that people will know what a shape is going to do based on its shape? So yeah, you're exactly right. And here it is.
You,
35 years
young
later, and you're
people,
still trying to figure out the icons.
you know, there's so many video conferencing things now. But Meet Now, which is Microsoft's video conferencing, this is Microsoft Teams. If you work in, my nephew works in a hospital system. All of the hospitals are tied together via Microsoft Teams. So if you want to meet, he's an accountant, and if he wants to meet with the accountants in Texas, he goes on Teams and they have a meeting. And this, you manage your account. This is OneNote, which I'm not sure what it's about. But let's go. Here's Grok. Let's go over here to Meta AI. This is This is Facebook. You know, Mark Zuckerberg. He had something called Code, CODE, Code Llama, which is one of the first AIs that generated code. So I'm just going to try this in front of you and see what we get. Write COBOL, COBO, routine to transfer an ASCII file to JSON, JSON format. So there you go. I'm assuming you're seeing this, Maureen. Is that correct?
Yes, we're seeing it. Mm-hmm.
So here's a COBOL routine. And again, so my goodness, I don't know COBOL, so I can't make hide nor hair of it. Or I guess I could a little bit. So here's the input text. Here's the output text. Here's the read routine. Here's the output routine.
So that would have to be entered in a way where it could be, I can't remember the word, where you take code like this, which you can read, and it turns it into the
compiler.
Compiler, thank you. Yeah. So you'd have to put this into a compiler.
So let's see if I can find, here's my compiler right here. This is the main, this is the big one. I'm going to notice all of these icons on the right part of the screen. I'm going to hit this one right here, which means copy this routine. So I'm going to copy to clipboard. Now I'm going to bring my compiler over. I'm going to write a new text file and I'm going to paste. So there I've put that routine in the compiler. Boom. Now, I'm not hooked to a COBOL compiler, but this is how it would be done. This is, I believe that you can, this is Visual Studio, VS. Visual Studio is one of the major coding platforms. So here's the program. Bingo. It's in there. So this is in Meta. Let's go to Grok. This is from Elon and Twitter, or X. Write a TypeScript routine to have a calculator on a web page. Now, TypeScript, I believe, is like JavaScript. Let's see if it what happens here. So this is the code that your browser will execute if this information is properly input. This is all of the information that, here's the TypeScript down here. This is all of the computer code. The user has to know this language. It is written very quickly, but it must be edited for the immediate circumstances.
That just looks like Java code.
Well, that's what
HTML.
TypeScript is. That's what TypeScript is, basically.
Oh,
It's a
okay. All right.
form of JavaScript.
So you couldn't get it to write COBOL.
Oh, I did that. If notice, remember here, this was COBOL that Meta wrote.
Correct.
This is Meta AI, and then, well, let's do another one. Write a COBOL routine to transfer an ASCII file to JSON, JSON. Let's see if it will do it.
Well, there goes that problem. Shucks.
And here it's explaining the code. So if you're a novice, yeah, it's the comments that if you were a coder,
Yeah.
these are the things that you would put in to describe the code for somebody 10 years from now.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my God, that's, yeah.
Imagine the programmers. You know, I was not a very
$100,000 a year job to buy.
yeah. Think, you know, what's Zuckerberg thinking? What's Elon Musk thinking? What is Satya Nadella thinking at Microsoft? Geez, I'm paying this coder $200,000 a year, plus I'm giving them stock options at $1 million a year, and I can have one of these coders, I can pay $500,000, and he can do the work of 5 of the coders.
Yeah, as long as he's a good editor.
Well, that's my understanding. Is there's computer coders, programmers that understand the magic of coding. Then there's just, you know, the clodhopper, like I was, a clodhopper programmer. I could do it. It was not my forte, but I could do it. So
that's just that's incredible.
And now you can, let's do here is,
Jim, was there something else that you wanted to show today besides this?
oh, yes, there was, and let's
Thank
go,
you.
let's do this one here. This one, I'll try to make, it's pretty big. Is it big enough? I think I
Yes.
am. This happens to be Outlook, which is the email package of Microsoft. So I'm transitioning now from all of these AIs writing computer code. I use it for that purpose. I've done it. It does work. Some of them are pretty dumb. I can tell you that. Some of them make a lot of mistakes, but I'm transitioning from AI writing computer code to Microsoft AI Copilot in Microsoft application. This application being Outlook. Notice this is in a browser. I'm using Microsoft while I'm on the road in a browser. Here, again, my quick buttons. Here's the messages that I'm used to. I can get something new. Here's a new message that I'm writing, and I can go boom. Notice this means Copilot. This is the icon that Microsoft has developed for Copilot. And in this particular one, I can draft an email. I can say, tell the staff that Doge will be here next week. Get ready. So imagine we're in a government office and this is, let's see if it right, there we go. Dear, so this is what Copilot just wrote. Dear team, I hope you're doing great and having a fantastic day. Imagine getting this. We've talked to a couple people, Maureen and I, being former feds, that get messages like this. I wanted to share some thrilling news. I gotta edit that.
I don't think it knows what Doge is.
It does not know what Doge is. So Doge will be arriving next week. It's a significant event for us, and we need to make sure we are fully prepared for their arrival. So let's change tone, make it more formal. So it's rewriting it. Oh, here it is. This one's, where did it put it? So here, best regards. Here's one. Here's the first one that it did. Here's the second one that it did. I want to keep it. And here, so bingo. I go in here, extend professional. I'm going to edit. So I got to go through this and spend the afternoon because I'm the boss, man. I closed the door, drew the curtains down. Some troubling news. Doge will be, the event is of great importance. So this is the workflow. We just discussed a little bit of the workflow, that a supervisor in a government office would be going through with Doge. I just got a phone call that the Doge, he's 21 and he got fired because he turned over secrets from Microsoft to the Chinese. But he's going to be telling us in the, I can't do that. I'm not supposed to be that way, am I? Okay, so now I want to bring up, this is Microsoft Word. I've just brought up the actual program, Microsoft Word. I'm on a Macintosh. And I want to develop a draft of a document for people. So let's stick with that theme that I was on. Notice right here, there's the icon. This just started showing up. It was 2 weeks ago. I was doing slides for session 3. I was doing the PowerPoint slides for session 3 of our seminar. And I started up PowerPoint and this showed up. I said, what is this? And boom, session 3, if you remember, was Apple Intelligence. I'm having an epiphany. Oh, this is what Apple Intelligence is, and Microsoft is doing the same thing. But I can hit. Maureen and I spent how long? 10 minutes trying to figure out what this means. Boom, L. It's control. It's Command L, I think. Nope, Control L. There it is. Control L. Write a composition to the people on our team, telling them they have to justify their position for the new administration. Tell them they must tell them in 5 to 7 bullet points they must give justification for the work they do and why they should remain with our department. Let's see what this produces. Let's see if they're going and Microsoft Office. Oh, there we are. Look, oh my goodness. I spend 2 days, I'm going to have to go through. It was a very short. Okay, keep it. I'm going to say use this, but put a short explanation for each bullet point. Let's see what it does now. Am I going to? So notice it's not in Markdown. It looks pretty clean. I'm going to keep it. I can edit it. Notice how I brought that up. I'm going to cancel that, and I like this. I did some feedback. I give it more information. I'm going to keep it. And now I have to go back and edit this. I'm going to guess that the AI has seen this coming out of Washington, D.C. quite a bit, that a large number of supervisors has generated emails and documents just like this. So this is an example of the workflow from Microsoft Outlook, writing an email, Microsoft Word, developing a document. Can I bring up PowerPoint? I don't, this will be interesting. I'll create a new presentation. Let's bring up, here's Microsoft Office. Oh, look it up, look it in the corner. Oh, look at this. Oh, I wanted to do designer. Let's just do Copilot. Create oh, geez, create a presentation about mathematical shapes from polygon, from 3D polygons. I'll spell that wrong. Oh, there we go. "3D shapes from square cubes to spheres, SPH spheres. Explain each shape." So first it comes up with the outline. This must be how Microsoft expects people to create PowerPoint presentations. Step one is to come up with your outline. Step two, let's generate the slides. Now remember, the first thing I presented was the account screens, and it gives me a number of credits for using Copilot. I am using those credits. Maureen and I pay $129, so $10 a month. I get 60 credits. I'm not sure how much this actually does, but oh my goodness, look at this now. Let's keep it. There's 23 slides. Let's do a presentation. Oh my goodness, look at, let's just go through these. I like the way, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, look at how slick this is. Or think of it, how old are 10th graders or 15, 16, 14, 15, 16-year-olds in a geometry class, high school. Imagine this tool where kids could, do this in class, focusing on the shapes that they are working on individually. And let's see if I can do this. Click. And is there any questions that people might have? That was pretty quick.
It was also pretty slick.
Oh no, it's what?
Marianne Carroll has a question. Is there a similar program for Gmail?
yes, that was the fourth session dealt with Google. And what I have found is Google wants you to pay $20 a month to turn on Gemini in their Office product. Now, I have domain management, so I've got a couple internet names that are registered and managed through Google. So I have what's called Google Workspace, Google Workspace. And if you were working and the document and the Office software that you used was Google Docs, Gmail software program, slides, numbers, that's their spreadsheet. Google has probably 100 different programs. Somebody would be paying for you to have Google Workspace. And within Google Workspace is Gemini. Gemini is Google's AI. It would integrate in. So let's see if I can bring this up. This is Google Docs. I will share. This is just the Google product. Number 2. You are seeing Google Docs. So I'll create a new one. And because I have Google Workspace, I have these items right here. Help me write, create documents. This would show up in, I'll go to Gmail in a second. Help me write. Write a letter to staff telling them to justify to the new administration. The doc should have 5 to 7 bullets with explanation for each. But I'm going to save that and then use it. So I could create the document. This is how Google does it. This is again, so here's the document, and I'm going to insert it in the document. So here is that document that I just made. But let me create a new window and go to gmail.com. Oh, I screwed up. Nope. Here's Gmail. And I'm going to compose a new message. Notice how when I just click there.
Expand it, please. Make it larger.
Oh, make it larger. My bad. Let's see if I can make it even bigger. No, it doesn't get any bigger.
It's bigger.
So notice right here, the symbol. So this is the symbol that Google uses that means help me write. So I'm going to click that. I'm going to put that little thing in there that I wrote on the last document. I'm going to hit create. Here's the document. As you were aware, we have a new administration in place in order to ensure that all positions within are justified. The new, ooh, It knows the current information. But notice how this is a little bit in Markdown. Notice those things. But I can recreate, I can refine, and shorten, elaborate, formalize, or I can insert it. Here's the mission. Oh, but it did it in Markdown. That's not so good. That means it has to be edited. So here is the demonstration I just went through is that the AI from Google, which is named Gemini, is integrated into Google's Office products, which are Docs, Gmail, Keep. There's a whole slew of them that allow us. For me, the dynamic of learning in this seminar has been how all of the major players, Apple, Google, Microsoft, are doing very similar things with their AIs for the application of the AI into their products. Again, think in terms of how many people use Microsoft Office, how many companies buy company-wide versions of Microsoft Office. So imagine a company like Qualcomm down in San Diego, or you could Smith Foods, which creates hams in Iowa, or Boeing Company in Chicago and Seattle. They buy 100,000 editions of Microsoft Office, and they turn on the integration of the AI into their packages. That was one of the comments I had with the IT people at SOU. You know, if you are an instructor or if you enroll in a university course, you can get access to an sou.edu ID. But when I did that, the IT chief was adamant, we are not going to turn on the AI integration into it for your ID. So the administrators have the ability to turn that on. And when they turn it on, it could be, oh, that's $12 a month. So imagine